think that you've heard a pretty common theme today from several that have questioned you. There is the perception that we have two tiers of justice, and one for people that are favored and one for ordinary Americans. And I think that has come through in many of the questions that you've heard from us. I want to ask you just a few things so that we can get it on the record that I think would help restore some faith in the Bureau, in the work they're trying to do. Americans looked at what they perceived to be, and I think rightly so, a ton of money that was wasted on the Russia collusion investigation. So do you agree that the allegation of secret collusion between President Trump and Russia was a hoax? Yes or no?
I don't think that's the terminology I would use, but I think there's been a lot written on this subject, and both in the special counsel's report, the inspector general's
Just
report.
yes or no is fine.
So that's not a term I would use.
Okay. Do you agree that the Hunter Biden laptop was not Russia disinformation?
Now you're asking about an ongoing investigation that I expect our folks to pursue aggressively, and I can't comment on that.
Okay, and you possess the laptop, right?
Again, I can't discuss that in an ongoing
Okay.
investigation.
And when do we expect to hear from General Durham with his report?
That's really a question for Special Counsel
have
Durham.
to
We are actively assisting him in that investigation.
And do you agree that an open border is a national security threat?
As I think I said in response to my Senator Cornyn, I think there are serious security issues represented at the border, a wide array of criminal threats that we are deeply concerned about at the FBI, and that transcends everything from gangs, violence.
Yes, the sheriffs in Tennessee counties continued to tell me, and last Friday I was with 7 different counties, and the number one issue for them is that open border and the presence of drug traffickers, drugs, human trafficking. They talk about the cartels that have set up hubs. They can tell you where the drugs are coming from that are coming into their community. You mentioned 300 task forces that you have. Do you have one that is specific to this? Because I was surprised yesterday with Mr. Polite, who was before us from the criminal division. They didn't seem to have one that was focused specifically on these cartels.
We at the FBI have a number of things that are focused on that. We have what we call our TOC program, which is our Transnational Organized Criminal Program, and our TOC West program is focused on the Western Hemisphere, the cartels in particular, and it's quite a number of task forces there.
Okay, I think one of the things that has concerned me is looking at the number of terrorists that are coming across that border. So far in fiscal year 22, we've had 56. There were 15 non-citizen terrorists that crossed in 21, 3 in 20, and 0 in 19. What are you all doing to help apprehend these individuals? Senator Hawley talked with you about the Afghan refugees. People remember what happened on 9/11. They remember what happened with the Boston bombing. And to see this number of terrorists that are coming across that border and into the country. So how are you tracking, monitoring, apprehending, and investigating these individuals?
So I guess there are 2 things I would say. One is we're constantly sharing watch listing information with DHS and with our partners to improve border security in that regard. And then second, through our joint terrorism task forces all over the country, we are investigating any number of individuals who are here in the United States attempting to put together cases.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Once a local sheriff reports to an FBI field office that they have someone they think is a bad actor, then how long does it take you all to do that? You've used the term audit, assessment, and investigation. How long does it take you to respond to that and get going on these?
Well, I mean, as you might imagine, it depends on the circumstances and the
Okay,
way in
well,
which
why
it's
don't you just
reported.
give
But
me- yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you can give
a
that
lot of
to me
times
in
we're
writing.
opening investigations, you know, that same day. I mean, I guess.
Let me move
yeah.
on,
Yeah.
and you can just send that to me in writing. I want to get to the issue on China with you, because we continue to be very concerned, and I appreciate your attention to China, but we are continuing to see Beijing, the Chinese Communist Party, not the people, but the Chinese Communist Party, try to spy on the U.S. government, disrupt our military operations. Are you all working with the Department of Defense to identify and address the threat of Huawei equipment that is coming in? And then we know the Chinese Communist Party is buying property and farmland near our military installations and our sensitive infrastructure. Are you all on top of that?
We are working very closely with a number of Department of Defense agencies, and there's actually quite a lot happening in this space. And if you were amenable, one of the things I would suggest is offer to have my folks come up and give you a classified briefing on some of
That
what we're
would
doing.
be helpful. I would appreciate that. As you're aware, we had a situation last year with a University of Tennessee professor who came through the 1,000 Talents program to UT. That goes to trial. The CCP uses that familiar line they've started to do to say, well, you know, this is an issue of race. We're continuing, and that's what they use to defend this individual. And so we're concerned about that and how all of that links to the Confucius Institutes. A lot of universities have shut those down. They're now renaming them Chinese language and culture programs. So how are you all monitoring and tracking the individuals that are under contract to the CCP that are coming in with these programs to spy, to steal our intellectual property, and then their establishment of these soft propaganda programs?
So we are trying to work very closely with universities on this subject. You know, instances like the one that you cited, where the case went south, you know, get a lot of media attention, but there's an awful lot happening all the time with universities all over the country that's on a very positive way.
Let me ask you,
Yeah.
are you tracking their monetary donations from China, that are all CCP linked, that are going into universities?
Well, so you talked about two different things in the academic setting, right? Well, there's both the research theft piece,
Yes.
and then there's the Confucius Institute or their successor
Right.
entities. Put the second one to the side for a minute. On the first, the whole way in which the talent plans are abused involves funding of researchers from the Chinese government to essentially steal U.S. taxpayer-funded research here. And
Yes.
so our investigations inevitably get into that
It's
type of
intertwined.
issue. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.